Now, some of you know me from me suing the SEC because of gross government overreach. 75,000 token holders came together with me and we beat the SEC. Now, people ask me, why am I running? Let me tell you, I'm from a place called Highland Park, Detroit, one of the most violent neighborhoods in America for the last 40 years. A single mother on welfare and food stamps who struggled to put food on the table. And I'm telling you, I listened to my mother cry at night on the nights that she couldn't put food on the table. And I experienced that kind of pain, and I experienced that kind of shame that she had. So when you look at me, I vowed to break that cycle of poverty, and I worked very hard, and I did it. So when you see me, you're looking at the living embodiment of the American dream, and I see it dying before me.
Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan, and that of course was John Deaton speaking at ETHDenver in his first week of 37 weeks before he's come to the finish line. We're going to hear the rest of that speech, but I want to tell you that this bull run is like no other, hands down. If you are listening and you own digital assets, congratulations, you are part of the population who for the first time in history beat the institutional investors to this established asset class. Numbers don't lie. We have 5 billion in ETF Bitcoin inflows so far, with 150 billion coming.
I'm anticipating that by the time we get to the end of 2025, we're talking 2 years, we're going to see total inflows of more than $150 billion. We're only at 5 right now.
And what is going to propel? That's a big claim. That's a big number. What's going to propel that?
It really isn't all that big when you do the simple arithmetic. Individual investment advisors, independents, those that are operating their own firms, collectively manage around $8 trillion in assets, and 3/4 of them in every industry survey done by DAC-FP as well as by Bitwise all show that 3/4 of advisors say that they're going to allocate to these ETFs and that their average allocation is going to be about 2.5% of assets. Do the arithmetic. $8 trillion times 77% times 2.5% is $150 billion worth of flows, and that's just independent advisors. It excludes the wirehouses, it excludes the regional broker-dealers, it excludes the institutional investors. Well,
now I'm going to share with you something that is super exciting. The most recent Ripple partner to be announced at ETHDenver is bringing developers to the XRP ledger. Again, numbers don't lie. 4% of the activity after just 5 weeks of launching this app is now in play. There are 90,000 users that have accepted these challenges. Have a listen.
For any of you who don't know about EZA, our mission is to bring the next billion developers into Web3. We have a community of over 750,000 developers. We announced recently that we hit over 100,000 monthly active users, and we have another big announcement that's coming forwards. And we partner with pretty much every big L1 and L2 out there. These are just a couple of our partners. And so if you go into the Easy app right now, you'll see the ones that we featured for this quarter. Some very, very exciting ones. And we're dropping some very cool ones tomorrow as well, especially in the Move ecosystem. We've got one coming up tomorrow that you'll be able to check out on our announcements, and a second one as well that we're announcing on Thursday. And so the EZA app allows people to learn about Web3. Here is just a couple of screenshots about the way that it works. You'll go in, it's a gamified, very simple experience, and really you go all the way from building to deploying in just a couple of minutes. Up here you can see the XRP ledger. So we recently launched the challenges on the EVM sidechain for the XRP ledger. I was just opening the keynote together with the co-founder of Ripple, or co-creator of the XRP ledger, David Swartz, this morning. And we were chatting about how actually EZA developers have now accounted for 4% of network activity. And that's just 5 weeks into launching. So very impressive stuff, very impressive builders. We're really, really excited about what we're able to build. Here are just a couple of numbers to whet your appetite as to what is actually going on. This is, again, just the hashtag 60 days of XRP ledger, which we launched recently. We've since actually these slides were made, we've had now 90,000 people who have started the XRP Ledger challenges, and we have really only been 5 weeks in. So extremely exciting. We literally couldn't be more impressed by the number of people who are participating as part of it. The reason that we have 1 billion developers that we are targeting is because Web3 fundamentally changes the game. In Web3, everybody is a creator, right? So whereas in Web 2, you are more of a consumer, you go on Instagram, you go on TikTok, you watch videos, maybe you create a couple, but you're never really developing that content. You don't have any ownership over it. And that's what we mean by 1 billion developers. It's 1 billion developers, 1 billion people who are building in this ecosystem, who are creating their own things. It's not necessarily people who need to write a single line of code even, but it's people who are creating and co-creating. There's all sorts of really, really cool things that people are doing in order to bring more builds into the space. And that's precisely what we're here to do too.
And as all of us just can't stop watching the market during this price action, I'm going to let you listen to the rest of that speech by John Deaton in Denver, and you can get a feel for his platform. All right, everybody, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.
Now, my foray into crypto is very personal to me. My mother on welfare, we didn't have basically direct deposit. She got a hard check. And the banks, as you know, put fees on you if you break the minimum deposit. She couldn't afford to keep $10 or whatever it was. So the predatory banks, of course, just add fees. So my mother at 9, 10 years old, I watched her go to the check cashing stores that you see in the hood. And I listened to my mother beg them to take only half of the fee. When I was in college and I wanted to send my mother money home to help with my younger siblings, I had to go through Western Union. I had to go through MoneyGram, and they took 10, 12%. And so that was my first introduction to financial services in America. When I read the Bitcoin white paper in 2016, I thought of my mom, and I thought, wow, you can eliminate the predatory actions of the bank. You can eliminate the MoneyGrams and the Western Unions. And to me, it became uplifting. I thought about capitalism and how freedom could be spread across the world. Now, my opponent has a bill that bans Bitcoin self-custody and crypto in the United States of America. Okay? Now, I want you to ask yourself something. With illegal immigration, with the debt crisis where half Americans don't have $500 set aside in case of an emergency, with the opioid crisis, with income inequality. Why? Why is Elizabeth Warren running on an anti-crypto platform? And I'll give you the answer. 12 years ago, she said that she was going to Washington, D.C. to hold the bankers accountable. She was outraged that no banker went to prison from the 2008 financial crisis. Well, fast forward a decade, who just wrote her bill? Jamie Dimon and the Banking Institute wrote her anti-crypto bill. So she is the epitome of Washington, D.C. You go to fight the bankers, you can't beat them, so you join them and you become their #1 lobbyist. Listen, I know some of you think that she is entrenched Washington, D.C. elite and she can't be beat. She can be. I'm not the only one who believes that I can beat her. I put $500,000 of my own money to start this campaign because I know I can beat her. Now, I can't self-fund the entire thing and I'm gonna need some help. But you wanna know who else believes I can beat her? Elizabeth Warren, because since I announced, she has emailed 5 times. She's got senators from Connecticut saying, this guy, John Deaton, is a problem. Fox Business did a segment that was called, Why is Elizabeth Warren so scared of this new guy, this unknown person? If I could fund it, I would. So my reason I'm here is I can't do it alone. And it's not my strength to ask for help. Trust me, it's probably my weakest part of being a candidate, but I have to get better at it. So I'm asking you to help me. If you go to John Deaton for Senate and make any donation you can, she won't outwork me. I promise you that. She'll outraise me, but if I'm competitive, I'm going to win this race. And if you go to John Deaton for Senate, you could donate regular, but I also accept crypto through Coinbase, Commerce, MetaMask, or whatever. So that's all I want to say. I know they're getting ready for RFK Jr., but thank you for having me, and I'll see you in D.C.